husband and her kids. I know my niece, right? So no, no, no. Then it was odd to me that all of a sudden they stopped asking, right? And then the homie P, he calls me and he tells me, look, I want to tell you something. The cars are there in the bodega. So I told him, what you mean? I told him, look, with all the hits D and the and has been kind of having to come out of his pockets, they didn't want to pay your niece. So they took her out. But they're playing dumb, like. So I got mad, I told him, you sure what you're saying? And he told me facts, check. So at this time, there was a homegirl terca, I'm not gonna say where she's from, that was on the Cali side, right? And I told her, hey, this and that, un carro así, 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 sí llegaron, sí. Y las acá, as far as I know, they said they were parked outside the bodega, like that. So I right away I got on the cuerno and I requested for the Billy to go up there and you know I straight up looked at him in the eye and I told him, hey, where's my knees, man? Cause I don't know, he kept running drag on me. And yes, I saw a comment where someone said, why didn't you deal with it? But you putting that comment tells me exactly that you never been nowhere or done something that has meaning, man, when it comes to this type of work. For one, he's charged of the whole plaza. You know, it wasn't going to be me taking the fault. Not just me, at least. I'm not dumb like that. Taking care of it on the spot, believe me, at this time, there wouldn't have been no hesitation on my end. But anyway, I straight up told him, look, con todo respeto, si algo le pasó, a lo menos show me that respect. She has a husband and kids, man. I didn't tell him Terca had told me that had landed over there in Ontario already, right? And he said, come on, Gino. You know, there's a lot of care on this side for you, man. You're holding down the whole bodega on your own, man. You've been with us since, Nayarit, Veracruz, all that. And hell solid is why I brought you with me, because you know how to work. You know how to hold our rules and regulations. You know how to be. So, so at that time, I've always been a hothead. So I felt things and I told him, alright, nah, no worries, it's just my knees. And, I ran track back, acting like I was still feeding. And then he told me, like, look, I'm going to do a barbecue in 2 weeks. I want you to go down. It's going to be in Hermosillo. So I told him, oh, con mucho gusto. Gracias. And I told him I'm going to need a few days so I could go ahead and see what's going on with my sobrina. And she has to pop up, man. The only way, I told him was if the Federicos caught her, right? And that she would eventually be booked. She goes, yeah, yeah, after the barbecue, I'll give you those days, but she'll show up before then. He even told me like that, right? But I already know this individual to save $7,000, 3,500 for each after they put a whole roundfla packed over there in Ontario for him. Instead of paying them, hit him and took him out to a desert somewhere. Where? He never said, right? And the day that I literally said, F this, like I mentioned, there was people hitting the rancho from evil side, right? And I remember one night, I knew exactly which homie it was, right? And I'm not gonna put his name out there because I'm pretty sure he's right there wiggling still, right? Acting like he's so good and badass, right? But anyway, I remember one night the dog started going off, and I started walking down the trail, and like to one side is the fence, and on the other side of the trail there's bamboos. And as I'm walking, there's a brick wall, and then a fence starts, right? When you turn the trail, as I'm getting there to turn the trail, I hear gunshots. But it's like 2 in the morning, right? Dark. It was just one of the days with no moon. They shoot, and I squat down, and I could hear the bullets hitting the bamboo behind me. So they were aiming at me, right? So, anyways, I let out a few that way, and everything went silence. And I went out for the four wheeler. I came back and just started. I started, I was dumb, I was, like I said, at this time, I didn't have no sense of fear or nothing because I thought I was Superman, which I will get into that. I really had no fear because I thought I could outcome everything. To be sincere, I was just that idiot, right? And anyways, the next day, no, excuse me, the 2 days after this, I'm up at the house, and like I mentioned, there's a fence that goes down all the way up across the land, right? And by this time, there's a homie under evil on that side that we were in the torcida together, right? So he's telling me he already gave me the heads up who it is that's out there hunting for me. So at this time, I see homeboy, and he goes up to the corner of the fence where the end of the ranch is on top, and I see him, and or I go up, and I grab, and I go up, and to all sincerity, I was gonna go up, and I just wanted to tell this fool, that I ain't no punk, but at the end of the day, we're camaradas. None of this is worth it. It ain't ours. You know. In reality, I just want to tell homeboy, if you're trying to get up in here, you're not gonna do it while I'm here. So dejémonos de tonterías, and just go your way, man. It ain't worth it. You taking me out or me taking you out, it ain't worth it. When it comes down to it, you're not gonna keep none. And this ain't mine. But he ain't give me the chance. It was like, I don't know what it was, 15, 20 feet before I got to him, because I called out to him. He started dumping on me. But he was a scary vato, He wasn't dumping at me. He was just dumping. I guess he figured I was gonna wuss out. So I pulled out, and I remember I dumped four to where he was at. But remember, we're on the outside of the land on top, so there's nothing but, you could say, forest. We're It's nothing but monte. So he jumps in the monte. So I ran towards that way where he was at first, and to the side of my eye, I see movement, and I dump four more in that spot, and I happen to hit him, in the leg. I don't know where I hit him, but he cayó, right. So I took off that way, and I had that literally half a foot away from his head, and in other times I wouldn't have hesitated. Believe me, I give you guys my word. I've never hesitated to do anything. And but something that at that moment hit me, like boom. And excuse my language, I'm gonna replay it like it happened that day, right? ¿Qué estás haciendo, güey? What are you doing? They just hurt your family. They been hurting what you believe in. All these thoughts came in. This ain't worth it. This ain't worth it, man. See things for what they are. And for the first time, I hesitated. You know, I remember I put that down, and to be sincere, I kicked him in the face, and I told him to get the hell out. I didn't want to see him there. And at that moment, man, I sat, I went down the trail from the house in front of the little house of the bodega. There was a seat there, and I sat there and I started recapping everything. I'm talking about everything. And I started seeing. And at that moment, I said, damn. I'm a dumb butt for this, and for putting the blame on the person that in reality has helped me get out of all these struggles I've been in. And I'm not gonna say at that moment I became, well, no, it was a struggle right after that. But at that moment, I put the dogs in the truck, went down, and right when you get the first little house before the ranch, there was somebody there taking care of the ranch. Whenever I needed to go out, I left the keys there just in case, right? So I went down there and I told me, ahorita vengo, voy al centro, ocupo unas cosas de comer. Boom. I left the keys because I never been a thief and I would never do scandalous stuff like that. Here's the keys, all the jale, I locked, everything is in there. I went down and I called homeboy. Right, the minute I got to Hermosillo, to be sincere, my thoughts was he was gonna buck up, be like, yeah, and then we are gonna handle it from there, right? I called him and I told him, look, ahí está tu jale, ahí está todo. I know what you did. I took bullets in Oaxaca. In Nayarit, I took it from the causa. When I was up in Pelican Bay, I did everything the way you guys wanted. Not the way we're supposed to, because they're not the same thing. And you go off and do some shady stuff like that with my sobrina, and he try to say, like, he still try to play dumb. I told him, don't play dumb, man. I got people on that side of the bodega. You're forgetting that some of that jale is my family's. So there's people on that side that tells everything, right? There's people that received the jale that same night she went over. And he said, like, look, you gotta understand. And I hanged up. To be sincere, I stood in Sonora because, it was, he started fearing, starting to get scared, every time I tried to reach out, I wanted to clip him. In all sincerity, I wanted to clip him. I've always been that impulsive, stupid, but, so my thought was, that's it, he's gonna make me, after so much suffering and aching for this causa, he's gonna make me do what I never thought I was gonna do, which was turn my back on la gente, right? That's where my thoughts. I remember my mind always played games with me. So I seen after a while I couldn't, so I had to get out of Sonora because it just wasn't secure. So my thoughts was I'm gonna go down to Culiacan, allow things to cool off, and you know, then do what I knew what to do. At the moment I have no other way of dealing with things but one way. And you know what? That's why, when I say I'm at peace with what's going on with me, I'm at peace with whatever happens from here on. I'm not on here saying, you know what, I'm a holy person, I'm gonna see God when I die. Probably not, but I'm at peace with it. I'm not gonna go being that person that was a part of hurting that people were supposed to love and respect and take care of. Because, by me utilizing or supporting these people's actions, I was part of the problem too. And I got back a month and a half went back. I was gonna wait around 2 months before I went back to Sonora, and I knew all the spots, right? I knew all the todas las vías de direcciones, so I was used to already being up, in hiding and just waiting to go down y aterrizar. So, anyways, I'm back in Sinaloa, and I'm uh, I'm depressed. Um, I start really questioning everything. I'm talking about from the gate. Start seeing a lot of things that just keep pumping more and more anger into me. I'm talking about. I was to the point where if I slept an hour, 2 hours at night due to it, it was a lot. I never been a hard drinker, and I didn't start drinking. It was basically I was one of those that I was watching TV. I couldn't concentrate because my mom was dwelling on the action I needed to take. It was always, I need to take action. I need to react. I need to correct this. I need to deal with this. At the same time, they have no shame and embarrassment in their game, man. I have Evil. I have Mono. I have Richard. All three Pilis getting at me, talking about homeboys scandalous. They'll help me uh, take them out. But I was done. I was done with their BS. I knew what was is wanted me to help them take them out so they could take that place. They would never take Daryl's place because whatever that man was, he had head. He was a smart individual, man. But in the mind of these other Billies, that's exactly where their head was, right? They're snakes. All of them are snakes. They're only out to benefit themselves. But anyways, as I'm going through this, bam, I get a head stroke, a real bad one. I'm talking about the first one left me in the hospital for a while, man. I couldn't move my whole left side. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't do nothing, and alone, completely alone. My family once in a great while, if they went, was to pay, the hospital thing. But I was completely alone. Towards the end, that one individual I told you guys that at one time took care of me, he showed up, man. My family's better, and they directed him to where I was at. And till this day, he's been the only person that twice been there in the hospital. And within time, I got some strength in my left side, and even though I drag still everything, as you guys know my speech is how it is. If I try doing any strength in my left side, my whole starts shaking like if I'm convulsing. It's just And about 2 weeks later, boom, another one hit me in the head. The first one destroyed the right side of the cord of my brain, and the second one the left side. So I don't have that. Whenever you're gonna have one of those, it's kind of like that protection, the sponge that hits first. Well, that got destroyed. But this one wasn't as bad. I mean, I felt I was gonna die 10 times worse because it's like if I was drowning for an hour. couldn't ask for it. It was just something. It's a horrible way to go, you know. And I mean it from the heart. It's terrible, and they didn't know what was going on, man. I went to see a head expert. They would started doing all these studies, and this happened. This happened not this last December, but the December before that. The head attacks, and as the doctors were playing dumb, in April of last year, I had a major heart attack, and thrombosis hit me both at once. For those that know, thrombosis is you can't breathe. Your stomach is bloated like they're hitting it with with air, and at the same time you can't breathe, and then you're having a heart attack. Just so I went up in there, and after that they after all this that happened, hospitals, doctors in Mexico, they questioned if I ever had a big illness. I told them when I was younger I had lymphoma Hodgkin's, and that's when they started. A heart cancer specialist came in and said, "You had lymphoma, yeah. What type? Hodgkin's." Man, you should have said it from the gate. And I go, why? Because when Hodgkin's disease comes back the second time, it don't come back like the first time. It's real aggressive, and it starts attacking other organs. Which in your case, it came back and it hit your head first, then it hit your heart, your lungs. Because till this day, I can't seem to breathe right till I get that dumb shot. And now it's attacking my liver. You know, I'm glad to tell you guys, I did my last radiation treatment, and in that sense, I have a lot of faith that it's gonna be okay. But everything else is damaged, so now it's surgeries and surgeries and surgeries, and see if I make it through. And doctors talking about always I shouldn't be alive. They don't understand it. They don't understand how I even talk. I'm just sick of all that, to be sincere. But I don't question. Seeing all this time that this stuff was happening, little by little, God started showing Himself to me, showing me what really is. And I started letting go of anger. I started realizing that I ain't nobody to judge nobody. I ain't nobody to, I ain't nobody to basically go collect when somebody does wrong. All that dumb thinking is what led me to a life that I myself put myself through, right? Nobody else. I don't blame nobody but myself. I always consider myself not a dumb person, but I was sure as hell dumb, blind to something that needs to stop. It needs to break amongst our culture. I let go of it, and I understood that every person has to answer up for their actions. Everybody's gonna answer up. Whatever you believe in, your actions has consequences. Whatever religion you may be from, think about that. And God gave me a big gift. And please hear this out. I used to think I was Superman, man. Jump from cars, do this. Think I could take on, get whoop up, and then feel the next day I will get up, and you know, I gotta overcome this and just step through it. As when I got shot, you guys seen how terco I was, thinking that, I was unbreakable, right? Well, God took all that from me, cause that what was hurting me. I can't walk 20 steps without feeling I'm gonna die, without have my body shaking. As I'm sitting here talking to you guys, ya me entró la desesperación. I feel like I'm out of breath. My heart hurts. My head hurts. Because I can't stress no more, man. I'm worthless. I'm completely worse, at least in the sense of what I used to believe in. How do I used to react? I can't do it no more. God took that from me, and I thank Him for it. As He also opened my eyes to everything. And all I'm going to say to end this video is, from then on, I said, just do. I don't want to F with you guys no more. Mis respetos, and I step back. For a long time, I would sit here in the rancho in the maca, and I could see the pilis in the entrance with my family organizing things, and they would just look back and nod their head. Up till this day, I still see them, and they know I'm on YouTube. But at the same time, they don't know what they did. And I'm pretty sure. Well, they know. I don't need to put it out there. But anyways, thought I would share you guys. This is what made me decide to step back, to answer that one person. I didn't take action because God manifested Himself that day. I could have, and I would have any other time. But He took those blindfolds that day. I still reacted bad by kicking him in the grill, but I didn't take his life. When I went back and I was dwelling and dwelling on how I was going to hurt this individual, how I was going to take care of things and this and that, bam, God took that from me and told me, hell no, I let you do always what you wanted, and that always led you to. You guys are right. He wants me to do something. Is why He didn't take my life. He took the ability for me to react like that. And for that, I'm forever thankful. But anyways, I know this has been long enough. So in this video, I only have, I believe, 2 or 3 pictures of the rancho and the look, on how it looked around. And I want to put it with this video. You guys look at it, and that's part of what I could look at every morning, every night. Nobody lived around me for at least a mile. I was completely up there with my 4 dogs, man. Something beautiful. But again, I was a fool. Instead of enjoying what was in front of me, I was the same way. I had blindfolds and thinking something was good at the same time doing negative. So anyways, after that, I started joining what is called ACA, which is Alianza Contradicciones, and it's a program to, people don't talk about. They just talk about how drugs and states, but they don't really talk about the damage that is being done here. But I will touch on that. With this said, I disculpen me to make it so long. I will speak to you guys tonight at 7. Thank you, everyone, for just thank you for everything, period. God bless you and your family. I send my love. Please stay true to yourself and loyal to your loved ones. I hope I made sense. Gracias y disculpen.